All right, hey you guys, this is Cobra Awesome, and today I'm gonna be ranting about 2025. Unfortunately, I made a few posts talking about this. 2025 had to be the most roughest year for me so far. I just never would thought I would go through so much in this whole entire year. And we're in December right now, so this is the final month of this hard year. And I asked you guys if you wanted me to talk about this, rant about 2025, and y'all said yes. So here you go. And I wanted to talk about this like a few weeks ago because there's some stuff that I need to say just to get it off my chest and try to move forward and to move on from it, because as I said, I just never would thought I would go through so much during this like whole entire year, like for months. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into this rant video. So where to start? And what really upsets me and what angers me the most is that how it all happened and how it all started from the beginning. So, at the beginning of this year, 2025, back in January, uh, my work team had invited me to come bowling with them, right? And at first, I thought like it was a job. I thought we were doing like a catering event because I work at a restaurant job, and sometimes we do catering events. So that's what I thought at first, but my boss told me like no, like we're gonna come to you're gonna bowl and have fun and stuff like that. So I was like, wow, okay, awesome, awesome. I haven't bowled in a long time since elementary school, so it's my second time doing it. So um, I was excited. I was looking forward to it, and I'm like, wow, this is the best way to kick off this year, 2025. So why not? Why not? So a few days later, after I got the invite, I go there and I met up with the work team. I met up with new people, new workers that work at the different restaurants with the same company. Had a good time, had some food, we bowled. Best way to kick off this year, right? So 2 days later, I'm it's on a Friday. I'm getting ready to go to work later on in the day, in the evening, and my stepmom told me and my brother some bad news. She told me that unfortunately our cousin um, had passed away, and I was like, "What?" And I was just waking up out of my sleep when she told me that, and I just didn't know what to say at first. I didn't know what to say at first. Um, so I just remember I went to go get something to eat. I was sitting down at the table eating my food, trying to process on what just happened and what I was told by my stepmom about my cousin passing away. And I was talking to my brother about her and how she was and stuff. And what's so crazy is that like she was just my cousin was just here like 2 months before she passed away. Because she was very sick and she was battling cancer. And I didn't know that at the time. I didn't know she was battling cancer. I thought she was just sick. Like she had like this very, very bad stomach pain and it was hard for her to eat. So she was staying with us because she was coming from San Antigua, her hometown. So she was staying with us because we were taking care of her and we were taking her to like different hospitals for appointments, like for surgery and stuff like that to help her recover from this. So at the time when she was here, it was great having her around, and I talked to her a lot at the time when she was there, and I was very close to her, like that close connection. And just to hear that she passed away like 2 months later was really, really sad and devastating. So I I went to work that day after learning the news. I told my coworker like, "Hey, I'm going through this rough time right now. I just lost somebody," and she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that." And then she's giving me like this to-do list of stuff we had to do at the restaurant. So I'm doing my job, I'm doing what I gotta do, and I'm doing okay so far, even though my mind is on my cousin right now. So then all of a sudden my cousin no, I'm sorry, my coworker like said something so rude all of a sudden, and she was saying like, "Oh, you're not doing the right thing, like you got to do this the right way." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she just like all of a sudden like talked to me like in a rude disrespectful way, and I was like, "I just told you, like I just lost somebody, like why you got to talk to me like that?" So I almost like we had this argument, and I almost like yelled and screamed at her, and I said to myself like, "You know what, if this is how it's going to go, if this is how I'm going to be treated tonight after learning the news about my cousin dying, I'm like, I need to get out. I need to get out. I need to leave my shift. Like I need to get out of work early." So I called my boss and I told her what happened, what's going on, and she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, if you want to take the rest of the day off, you can leave." So I left, and when I went over to my sister's house, um, I talked to her and I lost it. I cried a lot. I cried so much because after what just happened at work, like affected me, and to deal with that coworker as a, oh my god, it was really bad. And for the next like 2 months, I was in a complete wreck. Like I was sleeping a lot. I became depressed. I was sad. The fact that my cousin was gone, and my cousin was young. Like she was in her 40s when she passed away, very young, and she left behind a husband and a child. So it was really sad and devastating. So I yeah, for the next 2 months I was in a wreck, and I was sad and devastated by the loss. I was sleeping a lot, and I was depressed. So um during that time, like I was dealing with this loss, um that coworker, as I mentioned before, I was dealing with two of them. Like I had two former coworkers I work with, right? I had worked with them for a few months, like last year, and this year, all of a sudden, at the beginning, when I was processing the loss of my cousin, I had beef with them. I got into fights with them. Uh, it was really really bad, to the point where I almost lost my job because the same coworker that I got into an argument with at the time when my cousin had passed away, we got into another argument again a couple of months later, um, and I well, I cussed at her, but not really though, and then I called my boss and I told her this situation, and she was saying this to me and stuff like that, and I almost lost my job because of that. And it was only because I had problems with these two former coworkers, as I said. Like these two former coworkers that I work with, I was at the beginning when I worked with them, I was super nice to them, friendly, because I'm a nice guy and stuff like that. And they were mean and bossy. And I try my best to get along with them, try to be patient with them. But this time, however, I had it. I had it with them. And they gave me like, you know so much anger and so much anxiety, to the point where I didn't want to work with them anymore. So there were times where, like, when I was booked a shift like to work with them, I would like call my boss and make up a lie and say like, "Hey, I'm not gonna come in," and I would tell her like I'm sick or I have a job interview. And then my boss noticed it, and told me that you can't do that and stuff like that. So it was really bad. Like I those two coworkers, those former coworkers, as I said, was like it was like it was like Tom and Jerry with like I had with them, like just fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. As I said, they were mean and bossy. I don't know what was wrong with them. They were strict. They were talking to me in a rude, disrespectful way. Um, so yeah, so those two former coworkers, they really got under my skin throughout this year at the beginning. Um, and thank God that they're gone, because like I just couldn't deal with those, excuse my language, I couldn't deal with those bastards anymore. I couldn't. So so yeah, so the next couple of months after my cousin passed away was rough, because as I said, I was dealing with the loss and dealing with those about those bastards co-workers, and it was really bad. So if you guys have saw if you guys have seen my my Nintendo videos, like I was talking about the Nintendo Switch 2 at the beginning. Excuse me. At the beginning, Nintendo, they they revealed the Nintendo Switch 2 back in January. And looking at the trailer, the first look trailer on YouTube, on their YouTube channel, like the system, like at the time it looked, it promised. Like I see like Mario Kart, like it's a new game, and I was excited along with a lot of y'all, like who are Nintendo fans, true passionate Nintendo fans. So we thought, like, this is gonna be a great system, just like the original Switch. So then what happened? After a disappointing Mario Day I went to for the Nintendo store to celebrate, a month later on April 2nd, 2025, I watched the Nintendo Direct. I woke up early to watch it, excited and curious to see what games are gonna be on this brand new system. And something felt off about it. Like, Mario Kart World and these other games that they announced for it, something felt off about it. You know what I mean? Like there was nothing really exciting about this direct. So then hours later, my brother tells me about the prices, like $80 for Mario Kart World, and then when I went on YouTube, when I watched the YouTube videos of people complaining about it, that's when the whole controversy started. Like you guys know like the story and everything. And I was like, why Nintendo is doing that? Like, why are they charging extra money for a game that does not deserve to be like $80? You know what I mean? So for the next like few months after that presentation, I watched more and more videos to try to understand like why Nintendo is doing something like this. Because as I said in those Nintendo videos, like a few months ago, I said like Nintendo, they made like some bad decisions, but this had to be the worst of the worst by just like what them doing with the Nintendo Switch 2, like they increasing the prices for no reason, especially on Mario Kart World. Like that game does not deserve to be $80. So like I'm like after watching these videos on Nintendo and going through all this stuff like during the months of this year, I'm like, bro, like this is very depressing. Like I became more depressed. Um, like with my job and stuff. Like during the summer, like I was only working like 1 day shift throughout the entire summer. No joke, I'm not making this up. And it was because like it was super slow and stuff like that, and it was something that I wasn't used to, because I mean, yeah, like the restaurant is slow all the time, but I never worked like a 1 day shift, and it was like less hours, and I'm like, bro, like like what's the point? And to the point where um I went on these job interviews, like four of them so far, and they all said no. I went to FedEx. FedEx got under my skin. I went to FedEx for a job interview, and the interview went so well, and the lady who interviewed me, she was like, oh, I appreciate you coming on time and stuff like that. I dress professional. I wear my suit and everything, and the interview went well, and I'm thinking and I'm assuming that I'm gonna get this job, because I was trying to find a better job, because like the current job that I'm working at this restaurant, it's not working out, because I was, as I said, like I'm working this 1 day shift, and I'm beefing with these former coworkers. So it was really bad for me. So I was trying to get out. I was trying to get out of that job, because I've been there for 2 years. Like I needed to get out, because everything that was happening to me, like it was really bad. Like it was very crazy and depressing at the same time. So I interviewed for FedEx, and Then the next thing you know, I leave and I get an email from them and they said no, just like that. And I'm like, it hasn't even been a day yet and they already just said no. So as I said, I went on these four job interviews and they all said no. And I'm like, yo, bro, this is not looking too good. Like this, oh my, like I just can't catch a break. So, um, and then a month later in September, I returned back to playing video games because I was on a hiatus the since April because of that Nintendo controversy thing that affected me and stuff like that. So I took a little break from playing Nintendo games and stuff like that. Um, yeah, and it was like depressing. So I returned back in September. I returned to watching YouTube videos and stuff like that to catch up, after this long break. So, um, and it felt great to be back with my hobbies and stuff. So 2 weeks later, like 3 months ago, right in September, uh, 2 weeks later, the same month, September, my sister calls me on the phone and she asked me if I was home, and I'm like, yeah, and not knowing what she gonna tell me, and she called me and she told me that my grandpa had passed away, and I was like, what happened? And she told me that he passed away from high blood pressure, and it was due to the fact that he kept drinking a lot of alcohol, which wasn't good for his age because my grandpa he became very depressed since my grandmother passed away back in 2020, and he hasn't been himself since then. So he kept on drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking, which wasn't good. And we tried to get him to stop, but he wouldn't listen. So yeah, so the police found his body because the apartment complex, they noticed that he hasn't left his house in a few days, and yeah, so my grandpa passed away, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like here we go again with grief because like I already just dealt with the loss of my cousin back in January, and then now I'm dealing with the loss of another close family member of mine, my grandpa. So I'm like, like this year really got under my skin since the beginning. As I said, with the coworkers, my cousin passing away, the controversy with Nintendo, and there was a lot of crazy stuff that happened this year, like that has nothing to do with me. Like Trump became the president, the tariffs, and um, more tragedies, and yeah, this year was very very depressing, and it reminded me so much of 2020. Like when that year had started, Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter crash, and the Black Lives Matter, COVID, quarantine, the pandemic, like yeah, and during that time, like 2020, I was okay. I mean, yeah, like yeah, I was sad that Kobe Bryant died, um, and with COVID and the pandemic, yeah, like, I mean, I was sad that all this stuff was going on, but it didn't really affect me that much. But like when my grandmother passed away, that's when I lost it, and it was rough for me at that time. And then now, 5 years later, 2025, I was going through hell. I was seriously going through hell, guys. It's not even funny. So that's why you haven't really seen me in much of these YouTube videos because I was seriously going through hell. Seriously going through hell with all this nonsense, this BS, these these workers, it was a lot, guys. So that's why I'm doing this video. Like that's why I'm saying all this to get this off my chest. So that's what happened this year. That's what happened. That's what happened. It was very sad. It was very depressing that I had to go through so much, and I appreciate like the support like from my brother and my sister and some of my family, my friends. I appreciate all the support that I got throughout those months of this year because I I honestly felt like giving up at this point because of all this nonsense that was going on. I almost felt like giving up, but now I'm recovering from everything that has happened to me this year, which will take time. So right now I'm trying to go into this direction to try to stay positive from now on, and I know that's not easy because throughout most of this year, it just I was thinking negative all the time, negative, 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 negative. So yeah, um, so that's what happened. That's what happened to me. So um, that's all I gotta say. So that's all I gotta say. So be sure to like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And let me know in the comments if 2025 has been a very rough year for you. Has 2025 been a very rough year for you? Just let me know in the comments. But take care, guys. Bye.